cannot even think about the magnanimity of God's dream about you, my dear friends. The solemnity of the nativity of John the Baptist. Imagine the dream that God had about John the Baptist. This person called John was chosen before he was born. And he was chosen with a dream of God. God had a dream for him. And how subtle way that God designed his path, my dear friends. He chose him, he broke him, molded him, and he sent him with a mission. The first reading beautifully says, the mission John had is very important, is of great importance. But then for that mission, God chose him and he had to mold him in order to prepare him for that mission. The word says, he will sharpen his words like a sword. He will sharpen his words like a sword. So he has to, if for his word to be sharpened, he has to go through a struggle. How to sharpen a sword? You put the sword in fire, and then you take a hammer and smash it, creep it. And that's how you sharpen the sword. John the Baptist, the word of John the Baptist was anointed. He was a voice in the wilderness, isn't it? Without a miracle, without any catchy thing, all the people from all over came to the desert to listen to him. His word was so, his preaching was so powerful. People thought he's Messiah. All the time, the gospel writers had to emphasize Jesus to tell that he's Messiah and he's the one who prepared the way. So that amount of power in his words. But then God had to make him like a sword, his words like a sword. And then he said, he will sharpen him like an arrow. So he became the arrow. The first reading beautifully says, what would happen with arrow? The arrow will pierce the heart of the other person. An arrow will show the direction. For that, God has to make him go through a formation. That's exactly the meaning of his life. The word says, Yahweh called me from my mother's womb. He pronounced my name before I was born. So that's a dream God had for John the Baptist. I have labored, but then he said to me, you are Israel, my servant. Through you I will be known. So he is a symbol. God's way, God's power is manifested through him. But then the word says, the arrow, he will make an arrow, sharpen the person like an arrow, but then he keeps it in the pouch until the proper moment. That's how after the birth of John, he went to the wilderness until the proper moment. He had to go through a formation, isn't it? God prepared the path, infrastructure, background for him to be born. How? By making Elizabeth barren. All the time in the salvation history we find the people, the mother of Samson, Simeon, and all the mothers were barren before the strong personalities were born. Because God wanted to show it's by his power this birth is happening. Not by human intervention. So that's exactly, Samuel was born through a barren woman, isn't it? So this is exactly how Elizabeth was barren And God chose that womb to show God's power and God's intervention in human weakness. That's how he was born. And even in naming him, in the day of circumcision, he was naming him. When they were naming him, people had a different dream. People's notion was different, isn't it? They all wanted to name him Zechariah, after his father. But then God so powerfully planned his life. Elizabeth said strongly, his name is John. And Zechariah, who could not speak, and God spoke to him and gave the name as John. My dear friends, you cannot imagine how vast his dream about you also. You have a mission in his plan. And you are chosen before your birth, isn't it? We hardly realized this. And the word says, his name is John. And they were very surprised. Immediately, Zechariah could speak again. And his first words were in praise of God. A holy fear came on all in the neighborhood. And throughout the hill country of Judea, people talk about these events. All who heard of it pondered it in their minds and wondered, what will this child be? For they understood that the hand of the Lord was with him. My dear friends, we need to realize that we need to identify God's hand in all your endeavors, all your formation, that God's hand is there. And that's how his hand formed him, molded him for the mission. But then it takes time. In God's ways are different. It won't happen all of a sudden, isn't it? As the arrow is kept in the pouch till the proper moment. We have to wait till the proper time. That's a desert experience. That's why the word says, he said to me, you Israel, my servant, I have labored in vain. The word says, I have labored in vain. I thought and spent my strength for nothing. Yet what is due me was in the hand of Yahweh, and my reward was with my God. I am important in the sight of Yahweh, and my God is my strength. My dear friends, God has a plan for you, and he will use you in his proper way, proper time. You have to wait upon it. Sometimes we might think, I'm wasting my life. How many years he had to wait in the wilderness? And imagine the way John the Baptist was killed, persecuted. It's because of a petty dance, isn't it? And he was given as a trophy. He was beheaded by Herod. And as if his life is in vain. But the word says, I keep my trust in God. He will reward me, not anyone else. That's how this birth was so powerful. And he's an arrow. You and I are called to be arrow also. You and I are chosen with a mission. And he has to form you, mold you, form you, and send you. It is a painful journey. But then, for God's dream to be completed in your life, you have to go through this desert experience. Think about it and have a nice day. May God bless you.